If I was going to do agent attraction and it was my focus, I would launch a podcast. And I would launch a podcast and I'd organize my podcast in a way where my first 10 episodes turned into a book. Jay Abraham shares a story. Jay Kinder asked Jay Abraham in 2005, I believe, a question when he went to a big event. And it's funny because he talks like partner. I wish I would have had the video, but he also says on that thing, if I were you, I'd write a book. I didn't get to go over the book thing, but I'd write 20,000 copies and I'd give them away. He literally was talking about the book strategy. So as you may know, one of the the newest book that we wrote was Digital President, obviously Miracle Morning and Inside Sales. I was on an agent attraction call last week, and on Friday with a girl named Amy out of Portland. She had me talking to a team in Las Vegas, and the lady said, I had no idea. I just finished the Miracle Morning for Real Estate. I didn't know you helped write that book. Changed the complete conversation. The influence was different. Everything was different. When I'm on the road, this gentleman, when we were at New Orleans, grabs me in the back of the room, and he says, first thing out of his mouth, man, I read Inside Sales Predictability. Great book. And starts talking to me about it. That happens everywhere. We sold 10,000 copies of Inside Sales Predictability. What nobody knows is when we sold Inside Sales Predictability, we also made with that book on an automated funnel, we made about $850,000 selling 1,000 copies, selling order bumps. We made $14,000  2 days before Thanksgiving, just people buying $97 scripts. $97 scripts. And I share that with you because if EXP's compensation model wasn't like it was, I wouldn't be telling y'all any of this. You understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't. But I want everybody to be able to go write a book, launch a podcast, create the positioning that you have. I believe anybody can, because me and Jay didn't have anything. We were not special. We were just trying to make $15. We got sucked into it, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to talk a little bit about. These are the 3 podcasts that we have. If you don't have them, has anybody ever been interested in launching a podcast? Raise your hand. So the cool thing is I'm going to give you some statistics about podcasts, share with you a little bit of reasons why. Google did announce back in April that they're doubling the size of the podcast network with Google Play, and that they're giving premier positioning to all voice. What's going to change the game, and we said this, I was at an event, I said, listen guys, voice is going to be in everything. And literally that Friday on CNBC, Amazon announced that they announced that they have 6 new appliances in the kitchen that have voice. People aren't going to say, right now, think about brand, right? If you need some Chips Ahoy cookies, or maybe you want a Bud Light, when you go to the beer store, you get to see all the beer. You're like, oh, you know what, let me try this one right here, got a hint of lime. But that's not what happens. If you want to go get a Rockstar, you could go to grab a Rockstar and see that Sonic just launched a new energy drink called Cherry Limeade, and be like, oh, I always liked Cherry Limeade. This might be a good energy drink. Brands can fight for you, but that's not how it's going to be in the future. People are going to say, Alexa, send me a sugar-free grape Rockstar, and nobody else is going to get a chance for that traffic, right? So with voice, one of the things that we're doing is we're aligning. There's tools out there like SEMrush where you can go see the top keywords that people search for. And you could be doing podcasts around that. When you do a podcast, it's not that your audience wants to know what you're talking about. They want to know your opinion on that subject. They want to know what you think about what just happened in the news. They want to live their life with you. You become an influencer over what keeps them busy, what they are entertained by, right? And so for me, my goal is to hopefully help people who maybe think in all the different reasons. I believe everybody can have a podcast. I do. If you were at the Jackson Hole Mastermind, my buddy came up to me, Ryan Stuman. I went to his office 6 weeks later, and he had on his wall, 900,000 this month. He said, 4 years ago, Mike, dude, I was doing shit for other people, and I was selling social media services, typing other people's blog posts 4 years ago. Got out of jail. And he said, you know what I did that I guarantee? He said, I've been on more people's podcasts than anybody else. He hired a girl. That girl got him on other people's podcasts, paid her $50. He went and sucked the audience. Imagine if you go to a concert and you have, like, let's say Garth Brooks, but you have some new guy who's opening for that person. They're sucking that audience. So the goal is can you build an audience? So one of the things we do when we're on the road, and I'm always opening up, telling people, hey, man, y'all should just check out, if you want to hear about personal brand, we just dropped a new podcast, which is great if you're looking at branding. It's over here. If you want to hear what me and Al and Jay just talked about, which is one of my favorite podcasts, it's called The Struggle. And I mean that. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should go listen to it, because we really are talking about some of the struggles and how people get through those struggles. And what happens is every show that I'm at, every time I'm on the road, I'm pulling people into the podcast. They can subscribe. They can go to Spotify. They can go to iTunes. Everywhere I go, that's where you have a universal offer. That's my offer, where people can subscribe, right? Where they can subscribe and start listening, start paying attention. So I don't have a mercifully brief introduction, but what we're going to talk about is your mercifully brief introduction. What is your introduction? What is your story, right? Who are you? What's your character? Who are you? Are you a copywriter that turns advertising into dollars? Are you a real estate agent? Who do you want to be? Where are you going to be? Are you just an agent? Are you a coach? Are you an author? Are you an influencer? Are you a serial entrepreneur? What are you? Those are the questions you have to be able to answer in order to build a personal brand. So, for me, when we did Digital President, we created, if you haven't read the book, the whole thing's about creating your methodology. I wish I could just sit up here. Everybody has a methodology. The art of deconstructing how you get something done that you do well. Even yesterday, I'm not just saying this. I had notes that I had. Who read my post that I said I was going to write a book on agent attraction like 2 months ago? Did anyone read that? When I wrote that, I took these notes, and I'll never forget. It was there was just things that I was learning on. I was just kind of framing up my process, right? Like just what I do, just like, oh, that works, that doesn't work. I didn't have a name for it. I hadn't got to that step in the process. I didn't call it the gate. I wasn't naming my process, but during your methodology, you give it a name. An AFA, that was a name brilliantly designed by Jay that was borrowed and funneled from the book The Game, which was how the pickup artist picked the average frustrated chump, right? Because that was the opposition in the story of what people would grab onto and community would be built, where people would later on shoot videos at their office about the AFA, right? The average frustrated agent. The people that we would cast stones at, right? The entertainment value. So you need a podcast. You need to build an audience. It helps you build an audience fast, be positioned with authority while leveraging the highest form of consumption based on the effort of the production. The thing about a podcast, you can skim your pool and listen to it. You can run on a treadmill. You can drive in a car. You can ride in a plane. I was on a plane. This is not a joke. Maybe 3 weeks ago, I'm going to the bathroom, and this dude looks up at me real fast, and he throws his phone up, and he has face-to-face on his podcast. And he's at the very last seat before the bathroom that was in the middle, and I was like, dude, I didn't say anything. I was like, I had to use the bathroom. But I was like, but that was cool, right? Because if I didn't have a podcast, he might not even know who the heck I was.